The whole selling point behind the Springboks is people want to go and watch them. I mean, those tickets are going for 2,000-3,000 rand a pop.
Sure.
In order to continue to build the brand of rugby in South Africa, the Currie Cup needs to come first, then the URC, then the Champions Cup, then the Springboks. Like you said, that's what the SA20 has done so well. Is this 2 million rand catch thing.
Is that why we're going?
That's why we're going.
Well, this is it. It is the Keeping It Rugby with Gcobani Bobo, the K-Port. We right at it back here. And I told you that I was going to bring you people that were part of this game, growing this game, the rugby enthusiasts, people who really do care about this game. Who am I talking about? And who's with me today? I've got Jordan Burrs, and this man has really captured the imagination of the nation. I mean, rugby content creator, a sports lover, someone who really enjoys what they do, and someone who's got the key to every city. I'm telling you, this man can access any place. If you have a vault and you want it to be open or someone to come and see it open, this man is your man to call. George, how you doing, big guy?
Bubs, I'm very, very good. That's a very nice intro. I really enjoyed that one. We need to clip that one. No, that was, I'm great. Lions, I'm doing better because the Bulls won yesterday against the Lions.
Oh, someone had to go there.
Yeah, I had to just get that out of the way. You're lucky I didn't wear my Bulls shirt today.
I mean, the first thing that I said to you is that how did you enjoy the field, the field of dreams, the park of dreams,
Loftus
Alice
Versfeld.
Park. Loftus Versfeld is where the Bulls keep it green because of what we all know, the Mignon. But it's all good. Enjoyed the day yesterday?
Yeah, no, incredible. We were a bit tired after our journey yesterday, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah.
But no, love the day. We'd love a derby. Love a Gauteng derby. Bulls, I mean, been a bit slow over the last couple of weeks, but good to see them get a win over the Lions.
Yeah, let's start at it. How did it all start for you? And why did you actually start it?
One of my friends introduced me to YouTube probably in 2018. Obviously, I watched YouTube, but I didn't watch like the vloggers and stuff. And this was the era of like David Dobrik, Logan Paul, like those American guys who are doing crazy things, giving away cars, doing like just massive things on an everyday basis. So I kind of knew I'm quite a creative guy. I studied a creative degree. So I've always had that passion for doing something creative, whether that's film, whether that's playing the guitar, whether that's doing magic tricks. So in 2020, I moved into a commune with 3 of my best mates for my final year of varsity, my final like hoorah to Pretoria before I moved to Cape Town. So we started making vlogs in our commune, which would only get about 100 to 200 views, and definitely not on the internet anymore because none of us would have jobs if they were still there. And then in 2021 is really where it started happening for me. Is I posted my Premier League predictions on TikTok one day. I think I had about 300, 400 followers on TikTok, and this thing just went nuclear.
So when that thing goes nuclear and there's sort of like, guess a risk of going for the unknown, what went through your mind? Did you think that, do I have to sustain this? What is it that you sort of found that sort of gave you that sort of energy to sort of get more creative?
I think I've always been a bit of a risk taker. I would go to the principal's office quite a lot in primary school for my entrepreneurial adventures and ventures.
Did you used to sell things at cheaper prices?
Yes, we used to hustle. In high school, I sold 2-minute noodles in the mornings to pay for a trip to America, a flight to America. So like I've always had this like entrepreneurial type of risk it for the biscuit. Like not really. I think I get that from my mom where she was just like, go. Yeah. Like whatever you want to do, go. Just do it. Yeah. So I don't look at risk, I think, as like maybe a normal person would look at risk. I see it as an opportunity.
Sweet.
Like we were saying earlier before this is, I mean, you got to fail. You got to put stuff out there. You got to fail and keep going. So, I mean, posting my Premier League predictions didn't really feel like much on TikTok because we had nothing to lose.
Sure.
So when that thing popped off and a week later we're on 80,000 followers on TikTok, I was like,
Okay.
Whoa.
Big call to the mom.
Yeah, Mom, are you seeing this? This is crazy. This is crazy. No, so then we kind of saw that opportunity,
Yeah.
and then pivot the vlogs, the drinking, partying videos in the commune
Sure.
to football sort of predictions and analysis. And that was just before the Soccer World Cup. So we kind of used the Soccer World Cup to propel that a little bit.
So a bit of a launch pad, and then rugby. Before we get to the rugby side of the stuff that you have put out and that you have given us, which has been outstanding.
Thank you.
Played rugby before?
I did. So
Just take us through your rugby career.
yeah, but it's a long one, eh? No, I think I started playing rugby in grade 4 when I moved from Limited Ridge in Pretoria to Curo.
Yeah.
I was a big avid cricket player in my younger days. I used to, like, when I was 2, my mom tells me stories of I used to just line balls up. That was my thing throughout the house. It's just whatever ball, just line balls up.
Yeah.
So like since I can remember, I've always been watching sport, love sport, whatever the sport was. So in grade 4, I moved to Curo and I started playing rugby, started learning the game, made the under 13B Craven Week side for the Bulls. And then I didn't grow.
I mean, what? Look at you. I mean, you're dwarfing me here.
But I think in grade 7, I must have weighed like 60 odd. In matric, I weighed 72.
Wow.
So I just didn't grow. And I think I lost a little bit of confidence in high school.
Sure.
Lots of guys shooting up. So I ended up playing seconds for St. Albans College.
Yeah.
Fly off, if you can believe that.
No, I can. Kennedy Timber was one of your,
Yes.
I guess, director of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think we rocked up there doing some shadow ball stuff. No, I can believe that.
Yeah, and Dave McCorry was, I think, my under 14 A coach. Love that guy.
Yeah.
He also coached for the Bulls a little bit. I think
Yes.
under 20s, under 21s.
So true.
So you got like those good mentors sort of bringing you up, and even though confidence isn't there, you're not growing. Like,
Sure.
it takes a little bit of a hit. Those type of guys, David McCorry, Timber, Mr. Fasahi.
Yeah.
Sort of like, just, it's okay. It's like, it's okay to play second team ball and have a good time. And so I think I lost a little bit of that confidence playing sport, but I knew I always wanted to do something within sport.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I hit my growth spurt at about 21. So now I'm 100 kegs.
No, I mean it's a good plus. You know, it's you come across with a presence.
Thank you.
So you think to yourself, okay, I want to get into the game. What is it that you wanted to show about the rugby game that you love that sort of propelled you to do what you started doing with the game?
I think this is we could have quite a long conversation about this, but I think rugby in South Africa is very focused on, all the broadcasting is all focused on males above the age of 30.
Okay.
Is my take on it.
Yeah.
And I think in order to grow the game of rugby, we need to be hitting the guys who are 10 to 25, the next generation, the next audience, the next guys who are going to want to play rugby. Because you've got all these sports, cricket, rugby, football's massive in South Africa. I'm sure there'll be a couple of professional paddle players pretty soon.
True.
So sort of capturing that younger audience, and that younger audience isn't going to, they're not too keen on maybe watching a SuperSport broadcast. They're not that engaged. So you kind of, in my head, need to deliver content to them that is within their realm of like a Mr. Beast on YouTube.
Sure.
The people that they're already watching, and try to relate that back to rugby. So this year we put in a big emphasis on sort of targeting that younger audience, making our YouTube videos bigger and more sort of YouTube-y, to garner that younger audience, put a fun spin on it, and really try and push that younger generation into the game.
It is a very important thing, because we all think how we sort of fell in love with the game, and we fell in love with the game by the so-called coaches, the way they sort of related to us at school. I mean, I remember this coach we had, Mr. Pedersen at Dell College. I mean, the guy was, you know, that he's like a deputy head, but he's the coolest guy in the school. Very disciplinarian, but someone with like empathy, someone who come at you, someone who look after you. I remember I had like grazes, and he used to like let me into his home and get his wife to sort of like nurse me and help me out to sort of like recover. And then those people sort of make you fall in love with it. But it's that effort, I guess, when they start to see you
Yeah.
at that, like, this is supposed to be my headmaster, my superintendent in boarding house, but that extra bit of him trying to sort of use the game to help me navigate school life.
Yeah.
And as a young child and as a young boy, that sort of encouraged me to see it in a different space. Then you sort of even open up to what he sort of thinks about it and how he sees it. And like everyone, we always want to sort of like please, right? And with the sort of approach that you're taking of talking to that young kid, if you had to now produce content talking to a young Jordan, where do you start?
Well, I think you hit it on the nail on the head there. Is I think for kids and younger guys, they want to be inspired. And the only way you can inspire someone is if you're passionate about something. So like you often take after your dad or
Yeah.
your dad's hobbies or what he does because he's so passionate about that.
Yeah.
So you sort of see that passion through his eyes. And I think if you can be passionate about something, speak with love, speak with your whole heart on the line about this game, this oval shaped ball that we love so much, then people will see the passion. I mean, I think that's how we relate to these younger guys, to, I mean, the ladies, to the girls, to the women as well, which is big. And I think that's how we're going to grow this game, is if we change it up a little bit, make some interesting content, really target the younger people and make it fun. I mean, we like to watch podcasts about rugby and analysis and stuff, but to get those newer guys in, it needs to be fun. It needs to be
something to latch on.
Yes, it needs to be crossing South Africa with no money, and the end result is the rugby game. But the storyline of sort of, it needs to be fun. It needs that's just the way I see it, I think.
I mean, let's take through it. I mean, you've done some amazing feats. I think 2023, 2024, you, like I mentioned in the intro, I mean, you are the locksmith of opening up doors and getting into places that not most people do. And it's done because of the passion that you say. Just take us through some of the experiences you've had over these years and things that sort of pop up to you that you feel like that was incredible and you never thought it could happen.
Yeah, that's been sort of the biggest realization over the last year and a half, is that literally anything is possible. I mean, I'm just a rugby fan. I'm just making videos that I find entertaining. And we set ourselves a challenge last year to try and interview Sia Khaleesi and Rassie Erasmus by the end of the year.
Saw the Sia.
Yeah. And I mean, Sia, double World Cup winning captain, like he is the head boy of South Africa.
Straight.
And I mean, I've only been in the rugby industry for just over a year now. So for me, that's still like Sia Khaleesi.
It is Sia.
Like
Khaleesi.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me.
I mean, Sia Mthanda has just been outstanding, man.
Yeah.
Just a good South African.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you talk about opening those locks and trying to get into those doors, I wouldn't say I have the keys for the door. I think we just take a sledgehammer and like just try and knock it down and figure out a way to sort of get in and not really taking no for an answer.
Sure.
So, I mean, interviewing Sia was mental for me. Like that was crazy.
I mean,
and the thing is, he made it happen. We were at a Springbok photo shoot the one day because we got access with Super Sport and Saru and stuff. And I mean, I haven't met any of the Springboks yet. So like, I'm in awe.
Yeah,
you just like, geez, these are like my heroes.
Pinch myself.
And Sia walks out and he turns around. He's like, "Aren't you the guy who wants to interview me?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Sweet, let's make it happen." And then literally like 2 weeks later, his PA messaged me and was like, "We're doing this this event at a children's home. Come with, like, see what it's about so we can do the interview with Sia." And I mean, even that event ran over time and we were only going to get 10 minutes. And Sia was like, "No, man, we'll take as much time as you want.
Oh, wow.
Just sit." And yeah, that was
incredible, right?
Crazy.
I mean, you, not to jump in and tell your stories, but sometimes just a week or so ago, you went to rugby school. Where it all kicked off when someone just decided to pick the ball instead of kicking it. that experience for you, why? Why was it important for you to sort of tell that story?
So we went last year November, we went on the UK tour to follow the Springboks and try to get that interview with Rassie.
Yeah, still.
Still.
Are you still?
Rassie. No, so we followed the Springboks, and then I was kind of just checking what videos we could do, because I knew this year we wanted to do sort of that longer form, bigger videos that we could post this year but film then.
Sure.
And I came upon Rugby School.
Yeah.
And read a bit about it, contacted them. They were super, super helpful. They're like, "Yo, come,
amazing.
Come train with the boys, come interview the people that make the school run." Dylan Hartley, like another like
legend.
What am I doing here? Type of thing. Like, this is Dylan Hartley that just cutting it up with. But I think the importance of that story is to understand where it comes from. And 200 years ago, William Webb Ellis picked up a ball. Like, we talk about risk.
Yeah.
Like, why did he pick up the ball? He didn't fear anything. He was, whether it's fact or fiction, it's a cool story. And I think, especially for the kids, especially for the younger guys, the guys who aren't so ingrained within rugby and know the whole story, it's cool to kind of show where it's come from and where it is now in South Africa. South Africa's four-time World Cup winners. And it came
back to back,
and it started in rugby in England, and now like it's this massive thing in South Africa.
And then you think about our schools and the people and the players, and there's still that vibe and camaraderie and that competitive nature that we do have within our schools and traditions. How important is to make sure that we keep that captured audience and grow it, especially for the girl child, you know, because that's still that's a part that we really need to really emphasize on. Yeah,
I think Supersport Schools is doing a great job of sort of, I mean, back in your day, a little bit later, back in my day, like 10 years ago, there was no Supersport Schools like it is now, with 1 million subscribers on the platform. Some of these guys are sort of getting famous in school for playing rugby, playing netball, playing whatever the sport is. So just, if like we have to look in 10 years in the future where those guys are going to be, and the footage we have of those guys 10 years ago in school, and can kind of see from grade 8, this guy sort of come through, this girl from netball come through. I think sports is storytelling.
Yes.
So to have that extra 5 years of that story, imagine we had Sia's high school years on video every week type of thing. Like, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, no, we were privileged enough. We had a coach called Spencer King at Rondebosch. I said one of my content producers, my co-captain, being in the room at the moment. Always gets a mention, that guy, somehow. So what Mr. King used to do, because he was so busy as a Currie Cup referee, he used to have someone videoizing our game, and he used to commentate on it. But his commentary was coaching commentary. It was talking to us like, this is a review live during the game. This is what you have done. Send instructions. And he made sure that we got to see it on the Monday. We'll sit around as a team and we go through it. And it was so mind-blowing and such an innovative mind for him to actually get into our heads, tell us what he really wanted to say at that moment. And when we watch it, we're listening to it like as if it's commentary, and he's actually having a go at you. Or he's actually giving you some good praises, but never overboard. And in that way, it made us start watching the game in a different way. In a way, he influenced our thinking. So the other time I went, and Mr. King sent me this whole file of my school games, and I watched them. You know, there's real and feel, right? So the feel is, you get a line break at school and you're taking the ball and you're thinking, this game was the fastest game you've ever played, an amazing game. And then when you watch it and you just make like 2 meters, and you thought to yourself, that was a massive line break. I mean, I could imagine now for the kids. I mean, Julius, like the way that he has hit the stage, but that came from his schooling career, having that exposure, people being introduced to him as the boogeyman, as this man who's like now transcending at URC and playing Investec Champions Cup. That story and stories like that, how important that we can cover the whole spectrum of South Africa.
No, incredibly important. I mean, not just for the individual, the player, but for the team, for the fans that watch. I mean, as a South African, chasing the sun has been revolutionary.
Oof.
But can the Springboks do that once a week on YouTube and like really blow it up like that? You talk about Lorenzo Julius, the boogeyman.
The boogeyman.
I mean, he's just come into the Sharks side. I think it's his first or second season.
Yeah.
He already has a brand.
Yeah.
So like building these brands for the players not only is important for them during their playing career, but afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of rugby players, and I think there's a massive opportunity there to help players build their brand while they're playing, to make as much money as they can while they're playing. As bad as it sounds, they need to.
Yeah. It's a livelihood.
Yeah, it's their job. And I think sometimes fans forget that it is their job and they need to make money. And especially after their playing career, they need something to fall back on.
True.
Like imagine I know podcasting maybe wasn't, or YouTubing wasn't around back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
But imagine you had this while you were playing.
Yeah.
And you've got 20 years
at it.
I mean,
it's a different ball game, right? Yeah. It sets up a different sort of look at it. You talk about those brands, and to put it in perspective, like we see players coming to the end of their career, and we're all like, oh, he's retired. And everyone thinks like you're going to have that sort of like send off where the whole stand stands up, or you have the Kobe Bryant send off where everywhere you go, people celebrating your career as a Laker or whatever. And it never happens like that to players. Some get from injuries. You call it because of injuries. Some it's just a matter of like, I need to move on.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself, I just felt when I felt that, I can't be that guy anymore, that every day I want to wake up and really go at someone and be that competitive. And I knew that, okay, I need to put my energies into something else and move on. But the reality I'm trying to bring is that retirement for a sports person, it's going to sound very harsh, but you're losing a job.
Yeah.
That is losing a job. That is you having to say to yourself, I can't perform at that highest level that I can maintain and start and not hold back the other kids who will probably deserve a chance because now it's their turn. You lose a job and you have to refine yourself. I mean, talking to that and that sort of transition into sports, how have you sort of sympathized with that, and how have you started to see it since now you're starting to interact with the players, with the accesses that you've been getting at the Sharks, at the Bulls, and training with them?
It's a very interesting question because, like you said, when they retire, they lose their job. And if you're a lawyer, you're not going to leave a job until you have another one. That's like rule number one. Like, don't quit your job unless you have something else lined up.
Love it.
And for the majority of players, it's harsh to say, but there's only so many super sport presenters. There's only so many people who can actually make a living after their career on that brand.
Yeah.
Sia will be fine. Irvin will be fine. Those massive superstars. But for 95% of the players, I mean, if you haven't studied a degree, if you've played for the Lions for 10 years or the Bulls for 10 years, you get an injury, you're done.
Yeah.
Then what do you do? So I think it's clever to while you're in the spotlight, capitalize.
Yeah. When
you have your moment, capitalize. I think someone who's doing a great job of that is Makazole Mapimpi.
Oh, he's amazing.
Amazing at it. And he's because I spoke to Mike, who's the he's the marketing director of the Sharks.
Yeah.
And Makazole is very, very interested in fashion. And that comes across in his brand. He's always in these sick outfits. He's always doing this. And I think that's him planning for once his career is done. Yes, he's a 2-time World Cup winner. He's one of the stars of the Springboks. He'll probably be fine.
And his story is an amazing story.
Amazing story. But he's laying those bricks now for when his career is done to go into that fashion arena and try and do something there. And I think spending time with the players, I mean, they're all keen to do it. I've spoken to Vincent Chachuka. He wants to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But I think giving the guys and the players the tools to do that is a different story.
Sure.
It's they still need to win.
Yeah.
If you're not winning, no one's going to watch you.
No.
Which is the harsh reality.
And you have to face up to the truths when things are going down.
Yeah.
You know, when the ship is burning,
yeah,
you have to switch the fires yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, as soon as you start a brand or social media channel, you open yourself up way more.
Yeah.
So you have to be brave. You have to do it, not for yourself now, but for yourself in 10 years. And I think that's one of our big goals in the next sort of 3 to 5 years, is to try and get more guys on social media,
Sure.
build their brands, make sure that they find for after the game. Because they give so much to South Africa, so much to South African rugby, so much to the fans. But like you say, once you're out the spotlight, everyone kind of moves on, forgets about you. You're not the main character anymore.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Remember talking about out of sight, out of mind, when I came back from Newcastle, which I've spent a good 2 years playing overseas, and I kept on bumping to people when you're back in South Africa, and you're like, are you still playing? Are you still playing? Are you still playing? And it is those things where we say, you know, not everyone gets that swan song. Not everyone's going to get into opportunities and be in the spaces like that. But what do you think? Because rugby as a game, it has captured the imagination. Entertainment, the competition that it has, how do we what is your ideas of improving the live sort of way we consume the game at the fields? What is it that you sort of feel like this will really make this an experience even further than it is at the moment?
I think I'll get to that. But on that point is the Curry Cup.
Yeah.
Is the perfect platform to test these new things that people come up with.
Varsity Cup started it like that. Now we're seeing another for professional rugby. Yeah.
But I also think, because the whole selling point behind the Springboks is people want to go and watch them. I mean, those tickets are going for 2,000-3,000 rand a pop.
Sure.
But I think in order to continue to build the brand of rugby in South Africa, the Curry Cup needs to come first, then the URC, then the Champions Cup, then the Springboks. So, Bobs, I don't know. This is a thought I've had, and maybe you can give me your opinion on it. Like the football in England, if you go to a club game or an international game, the more games that you go to, the easier it is for you to get tickets to the bigger games.
True.
So can there not be a thing where fans have to go watch Curry Cup games? If you don't watch Curry Cup games, those are the guys who should be getting tickets to Springbok games. Those are the guys who are like die hard. There's 1,000 people in the stadium and they're watching the Lions at Ellis Park every single weekend, but sometimes can't get access to watch the Springboks. And those are the guys who are keeping South African rugby going.
Keeping lights on.
Yes.
And besides that, at the pulse of it and seeing it. So almost like you sort of earn your keep. So by you being a Curry Cup follower and a fan and someone that takes pride in watching as much games and live and bringing like your family and knowing that and trying to grow that experience and keeping that person engaged, I think it's yes, maybe I'm not in the space of I'm not running that sort of it's a bit of above my pay level, but in terms of an idea of thinking that if you can get fans to invest in a game at it's supposed to be grassroots professional level to earning their way to getting to test matches, and you can run it as a lottery, and you can use it as a way to promote the unions, I'm all for it. I think that does make sense, because like everything you're saying, you get to sort of see the levels and how far it goes. I mean, I remember we used to get these tickets from Newlands, and the guy used to like sort of give us the tickets, and we used to go check and watch Newlands. And I remember I was sitting so close to the field when the old Stormers, when they started off back in the day with the multicolored shirts. And the fans were, because we're so close in Newlands, fans were so close, they were chucking on the like Nachi pills and everything. but they hit one of the players and they caught like eye line. And then the guy was looking at it, and then all of a sudden it became real that I've just hit someone who's 120 kilograms, who probably is a killer, but not like to kill. But like, if I had to go in physically with this, I don't think it will end out my way.
Yeah.
So, but that is that engagement we're talking about. That is that access to it. So rewarding the people for coming to the games and supporting the game.
Yeah.
I like that.
You don't become a Springbok by just playing for the Springbok team.
True.
You play in the Varsity Cup, you play in the Curry Cup, you play in the URC, you earn your way up.
Yeah.
And I think as fans, that should be a reality for us as well. Because those guys who are going to Curry Cup games every weekend, maybe you can't afford to go to a Springbok game.
Sure.
But if you're watching 10 Curry Cup games in a season,
Qualify for a ticket.
you qualify for a ticket
to a URC game.
to a Springbok game.
To a Springbok game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, sometimes it's difficult because let's say you're in a small union and you get to watch X amount of games because you are in Kimberley and you can't travel, let's say. So in that way, you can sort of use tokens for every ticket that is bought. And
like 2 points for the Curry Cup, 1 point for the URC. Because, I mean, the guys who deserve to watch the Springboks are not watching the Springboks. One, because the tickets are too expensive. And I understand you have to capitalize on a Springbok game. It's business.
It is our biggest trump card.
But, I mean, if you're pumping money into the Curry Cup and then into the URC, then it all flows up. So, I don't know. I think that's how we increase viewership at the Curry Cup. That's how we increase viewership at the URC. And as you talk about the entertainment factor, the more people there are, the more entertaining it is. That's why people want to go to a Springbok game, because they know there's going to be 50,000 people at Ellis Park. There's going to be a plane flying over. It's going to be absolutely raucous. And you just don't have that same feel at a Curry Cup game because there's 1,000 people there.
How do you then sort of, I'm not saying like create superficial things. How do you get, I mean, I know we're going to go to the SA20 and have a bit of fun later on. How do we create an experience for those without creating something that is superficial, like I said, at the Curry Cups? Like, do you go there, there's competition for like who can pass the most accurate? Do you set up sort of like fastest over the 20, those kind of like, and set up prizes and who can kick the ball? I mean, everyone always has something to say about someone's kicking. Now you actually put the fans into the test. They can see if they could kick that kick from the same position without actually distracting the game, but adding value to it.
I think, like you said, that's what the SA20 has done so well, is this 2 million rand catch thing.
Is that why we're going?
That's why we're going. We could be richer.
I'm telling you, I'll donate to your charities and everything that is. But yeah, no, it won't hurt.
Yeah. So I think they've got that extremely well. I mean, you see the attendance at the SA20, it's massive. And you look at the Proteas and how maybe they're struggling a little bit to full stadiums, and the SA20 is doing it.
Yeah.
It's because of that incentive. It's fun. You want to go to the cricket, you're engaged into every ball, because what if this ball comes towards me?
Yeah.
There needs to be something like that at a Curry Cup URC level where we fill in stadiums because of that incentive. It's a little bit more tricky on how you do it because it's not sixes being hit every over.
Yeah.
And the rugby ball doesn't often go into the stands that much. So there needs to be, I'm not sure what it is yet, but there needs to be that aspect of maybe there's a golden ticket under one of the seats at the stadium that then gets you into kicking against Mani Lebok after the game.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, something that's creative, that's going to get your son coming to you and be like, Dad, we need to go to this game. Because there's a mystery ticket under my seat.
Yeah.
We need to go. Not for the rugby. The rugby's a bonus. The rugby's the entertainment.
I mean, if you're going to the field, rugby is something that you already had promised yourself, which it's that extra bits that turns more people to get into it. Like I was saying, to sell someone who's already in love with the game, sell me rugby, sell me the experience.
Yeah.
I wanna go there and be like, geez, what I experienced there, memories that I have from there, and what that has sort of given me. I wanted more, I want to see more. So I had this idea once.
Talk to me about
it. And I was like, how cool will it be to close the season, especially if you think about it, again, we're looking at that Curry Cup, You know, I mean, I'm a fan of Curry Cup. That's where my dream was built on. You know, that's where I got to levels and something that I always pushed for. I mean, those days it was hard to make a Curry Cup team. There was not too many players playing overseas. So I remember rocking up at the Lions once, and and they had the Tri Nation. So a few of the Springboks who sort of like didn't make it to the match 23 or 30 were trickling down, and then we used to call it dominoes. You know, the dominoes fall from the top and they smash us all the way down, and then I rock up at training, and there was Yappe Mulder, and I was like in awe. I mean, this guy tackled John Olomi in 95. I'm sitting back there, I'm going. So I'm smiling, but like, you know, like when you're not trying to be that guy who's like, yes, I'm looking, I'm fanboying, I'm cheesy out here, I'm lying back, and he catches me. We're like stretching, I think we're doing like a hamstrings or something, and he catches me, says, "What are you smiling at?" So he's a senior player, so I'm sitting back and I'm freaking out. There's no Bobs, I mean, I'm just this youngster was here, right? I've been starting while he was gone, so I'm thinking I'm even... You know what I mean? I'm just trying to steal as much as I can from him. And I remember I said something lame like, "No, I'm smiling at the sun," type of thing. But it was those kind of things that used to help us as those youngsters, because now throughout that whole training, my whole eye is on him. I'm trying to see how he stands on his lines. How does he run that play? How does he sort of approach and sort of set up before he runs? And I know our younger players are getting exposed, sometimes we could say too early, or there's not too many sort of senior pros, sort of like senior vets helping them out with those little pros and everything. But there was something that always interested me. There was that picture of 1995 of Joost van der Westhuizen and Andre Joubert and James Small, cut lean like race dogs. I mean, these guys, they look like as if they were street dogs. Like they were like cut. They were so fit. And they're running. And I thought to myself, what about if we had almost like a combined sort of like all-star weekend Curry Cup, where we can see who is the fastest guy, who's the guy who can bench the most between the props, who's got the biggest leaps, and then you sort of like culminate the Curry Cup, to a North versus South game where the fans pick those games, because there has to be a way that we can sell this game.
Yeah. I mean, that entertainment factor is what you're talking about, is how, and also how do we get to know the players a little bit more? That's what I think is so cool about YouTube, and sort of getting the access to, I mean, the Sharks have been phenomenal.
Yes.
For us. I mean, I think they're probably the leading club in South Africa with openness to social media, and they get it and they understand it, and that's their brand that they're trying to build. I think the players get it. The younger players coming through have grown up on social media, so they get it. So there has to be, like you say, that model of how do we get to know the players a little bit more? How do we make it more entertaining for the fans? And how do we get people to come in, week out? Like the Curry Cup was the biggest thing 10, 15 years ago.
All this provincial tournament in the world.
Like, how have we got here? You know what I mean? How are there only 1,000 people at Loftus watching the Bulls? I mean, I know we don't have the Victor Matfields and Buckies and Pierce Spissers of the
those stars were built
the Curry Cup,
and they told those stories.
Yeah,
Jordan, I know we can go on for the whole day, but we still got a full day. But from us at Keeping It Rugby, the Kerport, thank you so much for coming through and gracing us with your presence. It's been a great chat, and I feel more comforted in the way that there's people who look at this game to grow this game, and we are rugby enthusiasts. That's why we have these platforms to grow this game. Thank you so much for your time.
Hopes, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Let's go catch a ball.
Kerboard, let's go catch this ball. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Respond. Please follow George and in his journey and what we are doing. We're here for you. We're here for the fan. It's a Kerboard.